Yeah. And that's where I want to lean into, Matt, because I'm hearing agility, convenience, fragmentation, overwhelming. I want to pull us back again a decade ago, because as you well remember, when boot camps were all the rage at that time, regardless of their underlying business models, there was a lot of talk about getting them into federal financial aid programs. And this precedes the short-term workforce Pell conversations, really. There was this experimental sites program launched, EQUIP, which would allow effectively boot camps, but other providers also, to partner with colleges. And out of that, as you know, I set up this thing called the Education Quality Outcome Standards Board, EQOS, which was designed to create a consistent way to measure the outcomes from these education programs. And as listeners of the podcast know, EQOS went through a number of hands, but then you, it seems, have really taken hold of the underlying methodology recently, the part focused on ROI, and used all the data available to you to make it real and launch the Credential Value Index Navigator. So love you to tell us what the Navigator is, how it works, what you're measuring in it, how it can start to contribute to people finding credentials of value.
So first, I just want to tip my hat, and more than tip my hat, raise a glass maybe to you, Michael, because EQOS, it was a really revolutionary step. This was an effort to really articulate what makes a credential valuable, and how do we create a set of metrics for evaluating that. Now, one step at a time. I think in EQOS version 1.0, right, we still need to look program by program, and we still need to rely on a lot of the data that providers themselves report. And
Yeah.
we all know the kind of both of those provide constraints, right? So the one simply says, okay, one by one to get to 1.7 million will take a long time, and the other says, the data that providers offer is not always very reliable. What we've done to power the Credential Value Index is to identify a bunch of sets of data that allow us to look to apply the kind of metrics that EQOS conceived, but to do it more empirically. One of the underlying data sets, and there's a whole bunch of models here. I won't bore everyone with them. There's 42 of them, which the only way I can remember that is because there's 10 more than Baskin Robbins. But what we're effectively doing, one of the core data sets here, and I talk about empirical evidence, we've created a data set that tracks the careers of the whole career histories of 65 million U.S. workers. It's about 40% of the U.S. workforce. Over 10 million of them have reported a credential. And so what you can actually do is say, okay, when somebody earned this credential relative to people who look like them, were working in the same occupation, were demographically similar, et cetera, same level of educational attainment, when that person acquired that credential, did it change the slope of their career? Remember that whole algebra 2, y equals mx plus b, right? Your career has a slope. And when you acquire a credential, it should change the slope. Fundamentally, put 42 different measures aside, there's one of three things it should do for you. It should either help you enter a job, it should move you up in the job you're in, or it should get you paid more money. And that's fundamentally what the index is measuring. The Navigator puts that data times 23,000 different credentials in the hands of learners on the one side. What should I learn? What credential should I earn? In the hands of educators, what credential should we offer? In the hands of employers to say which credential should we honor? And the hands of policymakers and philanthropy to say which credential should we fund.